Okay. So this video is going to be detailing the Glowing Sea 1 split. Now, this split is very straightforward, so I will be skipping over quite a bit of it, probably. Essentially, we're running from Goodneighbor to Virgil's Cave, picking up our power armor on the way, and then running back to Diamond City, and then up to Green Tech Genetics. So this is one of those long runs. So like you have a lot of running after Kellogg, memories, and then even more running. First thing to do, I mentioned this at the end of the last video, but you want to eat this guy right here because he's right there. Alright. And so again, you want to run past here the same way as you would running to Goodneighbor. You know, if that super mutant is sitting down or facing away or not there, you can run past. Otherwise, use your jet. So in that case, I think I see that he's looking at me. Yeah, so I use a jet. Another thing you want to do running in this direction is you want to run over here, basically behind this bus, so that you can use this bus as some cover as you run away from the super mutants. Or at least sort of do it that way. Again, if you really want to do it, it might be faster to run directly past Swan, but you know, running exactly past Swan would probably not save much time. It'd save about 20 to 30% of the time it takes to run from here to there and then across to there rather than going the direct way. So that's why I still go this way. You'll note it. So it's about 25 seconds, so 20% of 25 seconds is about 2 seconds, so it'd save 2 seconds. There's a vertibird there. That doesn't have, I think that's the first time it happens. But if it does, that's, you know, not something to worry about that much, but it is something to be concerned about because vertibirds do go down very easily. But basically from the tank to Diamond City, you're basically taking the same running routes as you would after rescuing Nick. So I'll skip forward a bit. Okay, so you enter this and then you just run straight in that direction. Now, the first thing I'll talk about is that over here there is a random event spawn. So just like any other random event, you know, if there's a Deathclaw or super mutants with missile launchers, then you really want to be sure to go around, but usually nothing there presents much of a threat because you run past them at some distance rather than running through them. There's a bridge coming up that you have to go to. This isn't like other categories in which you don't use power armor. In this category, we do use power armor, and so the only feasible way of going through the water is skipping half of going through the water by using the bridge. But also going back, we can jump over the gap in the bridge and skip going through any water. Also, this spot right here is another place we can get random events. I haven't seen Deathclaws or Super Mutant with missile launchers here. But what can happen is landmines. If you really want to, you can shoot the landmines. Usually you can tell that there's landmines here if there's nothing else here. However, if you have a lot of action points, you can just run past, and you're fast enough that you won't get damaged by the landmines if you keep on running. So then you want to jump off right here. What I used to try to do is try to jump onto that railing, but the effect of jumping onto that railing and then jumping into the water a bit closer to the edge isn't worth trying to jump on that, so I just jump off here. So I'll skip forward a bit. Yeah, that's fine. You would basically want to surface around here and then run in this direction. From here, you are basically running southwest. Now, if you're just starting out, if you're just starting out, what I like to do, or what I used to do, was put a point on the map where Virgil's Cave is. And if you take like the big lines that go together to make the bottom left corner of the map, if you go like 2 squares to the left and 3 squares down or something like that, around there is where Virgil's Cave is. Although also, if you've done other categories before this, you'll generally know the geography around where Virgil's Cave is, even though the point at which we enter the Glowing Sea in survival mode is a bit to the south of where it is done in other categories. So we run this way. This area is the, I think it's a robotics plaza or something like that. There's like a thing there, Robotics Pioneer Park. There's a big green building there. You could, in casual play, you could use a terminal in there to wake up all those Protectrons, and the Protectron's going to kill the Deathclaw for you. But we just run past. But that's like a useful landmark. And then as we continue running, the next landmark is this break in the bridge here. And this is actually the location called Edge of the Glowing Sea. Edge of the Glowing Sea. So we just basically continue running southwest. For the most part, I do just run in a straight line southwest. So okay, this is the next landmark. You have like a road that goes up a bit and then down a bit. I used to run that way, but now I run this way. Mainly because that's an easier way to run. Plus, given how I do this, I tend to be over here. Usually you won't be in any danger from Deathclaws if you go through here, but if there's one right next to you, then you can easily outrun that Deathclaw by using jets and then running. As I mentioned before, jets slows everything else down but doesn't slow you down, so you go faster compared to enemies. Okay, so this is just past the road. Yeah, okay, go straight to the road. So there's like a radioactive lake there. You're still going basically southwest. There's broken road there. You can jump onto the road on that way or jump this way. I go to the right of that rock thing there. There's like a broken thing there, a broken electrical pole. Red scorpions. Just carry on forwards. Your next landmark is a little further ahead because there's a couple of ridges, or I guess there's one main ridge that leads into the crater of Atom. And okay, shaking of the camera is the Deathclaw, but you can usually outrun them. But if you follow southwest, you'll eventually come to some sort of ridge or trench, and it's right here. This right here. So this is your next landmark if you carry on going southwest. And that leads you directly into the crater of Atom, which then you want to run basically in that direction, because that's the easiest way to climb out of the crater of Atom to continue on to Virgil's Cave. So you go through here. Once you go onto this rock, you want to go kind of, well, maybe a little bit further. You want to go kind of westish. Like this is west with a bit of south. And if you go in this direction, you know, the slope should be like this. The next landmark I look for is right here. There's like a tree fallen over right there. If you get to this point, you know you're in the right place. So I just carry on going in that direction. Let's see. Okay, so you carry on here. Once you see sort of this area, like that tree, those trees, you start to see, you start to see it sloping down. That's around where Virgil's Cave is. So right about here, as you can see right there, I'm taking a Psycho Jet because there is a Deathclaw over there, and the Psycho Jet reduces the amount of distance that the Deathclaw can travel as I'm running into Virgil's Cave. Because there have been times in which the Deathclaw has followed me to the entrance of Virgil's Cave. It won't follow you inside, but it followed me to the entrance, and then when I left, the Deathclaw was right there. The Deathclaw hit me, and the Deathclaw hitting me pushed me back into Virgil's Cave. And you don't want that to happen because that loses lots of time. So yeah, I just do this so that the Deathclaw can't go as far. Not obviously, because the chems were off, I would reapply them. So with Virgil's Cave, just mash X. I've heard that in some dialogues with him, it's faster to do circle or square. But X gets you all the way through. You don't have to think about it, so just do X. Now, there is a magazine over on that side of Virgil's Cave, but it's not worth their time to pick it up. Oh, and one last thing. I'm gonna go back. Alright, so right here at the start, this is right as you enter. And then right there are overall 4 can chimes. You want to pick up all 4 so that you have a lot of steel, which you can use to, for one, repair your power armor later on. And for another, it's helpful in building the signal interceptor. So I'll skip. So this will be exiting the cave. Right as you exit, take another jet, and you can just run off. Because there have been times in which the Deathclaw has followed me up the slope. And this is also a slope that it is kind of difficult to climb up. And naturally, if the Deathclaw gets to you, the Deathclaw can use attack that is like a long animation. It wastes time. You take a lot of damage, and it's not very good. So Jet is helpful with that. And then you basically run directly northeast. Now, the nature of running in this direction means that we run close, I think over here. Yeah, I think this is the area. Yeah. So right about here is Decrepit Factory. So this is where you can find a biometric scanner if you have not gotten one from the Fallen Protectron or from Daisy. This is, sort of the last hope for one, but the bioscanner there is 100% consistent, so you don't need to worry too much about that. You can pick it up in Glowing C1 or Glowing C2, whichever one, it doesn't really matter. But preferably, if you need to, do it in Glowing C1 so that you don't forget it for later. Alright. Now you want to run past here. Preferably try not to stomp these guys, because they can go aggro. But you run through here. And then, I think it's through there that I'll run? Yeah. So you want to run through here. And basically run straight. You essentially want to run northeast until you hit, until you can see the highway at the edge of the Glowing Sea. The exact route you take is going to vary a little bit from run to run, because I don't take the time to make sure that there's something on the map to guide me on the way to go. So I'll skip forward a bit. Okay, so this is when you can see the alright, about from here you can start to see the edge of the edge of the Glowing Sea. There's like a rock there, which you may or may not come across. But typically, at about this point, what I look for is I look for like a segment of road that's like around here somewhere, with like some missing piece over here and then some missing piece over here, and then this missing piece over here is the one that I run for. Also, as another thing, the red scorpions and bugs and whatnot, they do a decent amount of poison damage. So if you're taking a lot of damage from them and you have Med-X, you can use that Med-X to cancel out a lot of the damage that you would otherwise take. So I run past here. And then when you see a road going in and a couple of cars, that's your cue that this location is, again, the edge of the glowing sea. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it on the yeah, you can see it on the HUD right there. If I remove the HUD, it's right there. So if you get to here, you then want to sort of run in that direction. If you get to a road, but it isn't this, you might have gone too far north, in which case, rather than running sort of northeast, you want to run basically due east, and that should get you to the bridge. You might also come across like some sort of warehouse looking thing. It's a location called Scrap Palace, and if you see that, also run northeast. But Scrap Palace is actually fairly close to the Pioneer Park. So here I'm going northeast. I can see over here the buildings of the Pioneer Park, especially the flags of like the stand and the green shack. And if you see that, you're definitely on the right track. Okay, so as you keep on running, you'll get to this bridge. You want to be sure that you have at least a little bit of action points when you're up there, so that you can do a sprint jump to make sure that you cross it, because if you fall into the water, that's going to lose a lot of time as well. Yeah. Also, be mindful of that there, because that is also a hole in the bridge. So I'm sprinting and I jump. And the event over here, I think, yeah, okay. So this time around there was landmines and I decided to shoot them. I would have been fine to not do that, but I did it and it was fine. Alright. So you basically want to go straight this way again. I mean, straight this way and carry on this way. Now, as you get over here, you'll generally, when you return, you'll generally be over here, which is actually the place you want to be. So you want to look over there. If there's super mutants or death claws, you want to run up there and have the high ground and run in that direction. Otherwise you can just run past without too much hassle. So keep on running. I see that event is a wounded dog. The wounded dog is completely non-hostile, so you can just run past. And then running past here is the same as running to Kellogg until you get to the bridge. I'll see if Cricket is here. I think I think it's glowing C2, where she's sometimes there. Alright. So over here, this time you want to go straight forward. Keep an eye on the bridge. There's no landmines, but there are holes. And on here, you really don't want to fall into the water. On the last bridge, you could have made your way to the sloping bank and been able to get back to the surface, but on here, I don't think there's any coming back from falling into the water. Also make sure to run across this and not fall. Now, coming up, there's going to be... Okay, so I guess the first thing is that we're going to be running past a location called CIT Ruins, which is right here. If your power armor is really messed up, or if you forgot to repair it after Kellogg, you might be tempted to repair it in a what's it called? In a power armor station that's nearby to a church and nearby to Backstreet Apparel, I think it's called. But if you go that way and then go on the next bridge, you'll end up running past CIT Ruins. But it is very important that you discover CIT Ruins, because when you leave the Institute, when you fast travel out of the Institute, the location you fast travel to is the CIT Ruins. And you don't automatically discover the CIT Ruins when you enter the Institute, so you need to discover it here. Because this is basically... Well, I guess you get another chance later on, but this is your main chance at discovering CIT Ruins. So there's that. The other thing is that about there, you'll come into view if I keep on running. Yeah, so in there's a mattress, and then further up in there's a full bed. If you're new, then you can save there. But saving there isn't that necessary in my opinion, especially because you already have arrested. Also, if you do a full save there, and possibly even a 1 hour save, you'll end up with you'll become hungry again, and then you'll run into green tech will be a fair bit slower than it otherwise would be. Alright, but if you're really new and you feel the need to, then you can save there. Alright. Otherwise, just keep on running. At this point in speedrunning this category, also I'll say, for me at least, it isn't worth it to save there, because any death in green tech is very likely to be a run kill anyway, simply because of how long it takes to run up green tech, how long it takes to run to green tech. It just isn't worth it. if something is going to kill your run anyway, you may as well save time when it isn't a run kill, and then you can just run through here. I mean, you can run through here or run a bit further and then in that direction to get to Green Tech, but this is, I think, a little bit faster. What I do is I jump onto this little lamp thing and then jump onto the wall and then run into Green Tech, and that's going to be this split. So that's going to be it for the video. Because Green Tech and the railroad are fairly short, I think I'm going to record those in the same video, just so that I'm not releasing like a 5-minute video in this series of tutorial explanation things. So yeah, that's it for this.